This video is brought to you by Nate Productions. Hello everyone and welcome back to another tutorial. During this tutorial, we'll be discussing how to create a 2D movement for our player. So for our 2D movement, we'll want the player to move left and right when we are pressing the A and D buttons or the left and right arrows. So in order to do that, we need to first create our player. In our case, I just created a little circle here by going right click on the hero on the left hand side, going to the objects and going sprites and clicking circle. And then I've added the rigid body to the component, which essentially handles all the movement and the physics for our player. And then I added also a circle collider in order to for our player to collide with other objects in our scene. Then I've added just a floor for our player to not just drop off the wall, and I added a box color to it. I added some colors, so it's not just plain white and black. I wanted to make it a bit prettier. And we also have a camera in our scene, and I didn't really change anything, just the background color, and that's about it. And in order to capture our input, we are going to input class, which is you can find it in the project settings, input manager, and there are different axes here. We're going to be using the horizontal, which is essentially the left, right, or A and D for the alternative buttons. And we're going to be using the horizontal name to capture this and use it in our script. So I've created a movement script here in our assets by going right click, create, and going C sharp script, and then naming it to movement 2D. I open this up, and this is all the code that you need for creating a movement. So very simple stuff. You already have the void start and void update functions in your script when you create it. You only need to create two variables. One is the rigid body, which is going to be holding a reference for the rigid body on your player. So it will be holding a reference of this component here. And in order to get that, we're just going to get component and get the rigid body 2D of our game object. And then we also have the speed variable, which just handles the speed and how fast our player will be moving, and that is just set to 10. And in order to capture our input for the horizontal axis, which is again A and D or left or right, we're going to be using the input class, getting the get axis raw and passing in the horizontal string. So this is a horizontal string, and capturing the input by name, and this will return a float, which is a number, and we'll be storing it in a local variable called input. Alternatively, you could use the get axis instead of the get axis row, which is essentially an alternative to the row, which instead of just snapping to either -1, 0, or +1, this has some smoothing effect, which is enabling decimal points between the -1 and 0 and +1. Okay, so this will return either a -1, a 0, or a +1, depending on which button is pressed. So if it's nothing is pressed, it will be 0. If it's left, it will be -1. If it's right, it's +1. And then we're setting the velocity of the rigid body to this new vector, which is using the input that we just created and the speed for the X. And we're just using the existing velocity on the Y. We're not changing the velocity at all on the Y. So we're changing the velocity on the X. So saving that, going back to our script, and once this compiles, we'll be able to see our player be moving left and right whenever we press the button. So I will just run this very quickly, and as you can see, left, right, and both for the arrows. Now I'm pressing the arrows, now I'm pressing the A and D like this. So a very simple tutorial, and yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you during the next tutorial. Goodbye. Want to become a professional game developer? I designed the ultimate game development course that will teach you everything you need to make your own top quality games with over 20 hours of content and 100 lectures at your disposal. Make sure to check the link in the description for more information.